Capcom is shaking things up in the world of competitive Street Fighter 6 on very short notice. Let me explain. You see, Evo is going to be August 4th, 2023, and is set to be the largest fighting game tournament ever by far, with Street Fighter 6, of course, leading the charge here. Street Fighter 6 is set to have over 7,000 competitors competing in Las Vegas for the ultimate prize of pride, for the most part. But yeah, big tournament, the largest tournament we've had for a long time since Evo 2016, the first year of Street Fighter 5. And Capcom has already gotten in some hot water, mixed reviews, some contention with the community, because they already announced that the first DLC character for Street Fighter 6, Rashid, will be available to play, or legal to play, at EVO this year, only 10 days after the character releases. So Rashid will be releasing on July 24th. EVO is going to be on August 4th. That leaves competitors about 10 days to learn the character, both to wreak havoc in the bracket and also to fight for their tournament life against a matchup that they're not familiar with. Rashid, he's known for having really strong offense, tons of air mobility options and ways to mix up his approach. He's a very tricky character, not a very straightforward one to defend against. So 10 days, very short notice for such a prestigious and huge tournament to throw sort of a monkey wrench in the bracket. And that was met with some mixed reviews from the community. A lot of people were in favor of the chaos and the bloodbath, and some players were saying, hey, we've been practicing on one version of the game for this long. You're throwing us a curveball last second without giving us proper time to prepare. What gives here? This is not the first time that a DLC character is actually released prior to EVO. Looking back at Street Fighter V Season 1, 2016, Balrog and Ibuki both released at the same time on July 1st, 2016, with EVO 2016 taking place on July 15th, 2 weeks later, and those characters were tournament legal for EVO. So the precedent leading up to this moment was 2 weeks after a character releases, they're going to be tournament legal for Capcom Pro Tour events, and EVO is part of the Capcom Pro Tour. But they decided to bend the rules, and I think the new rule now is officially 1 week post-release. Then the tournament will allow new DLC characters. And yeah, it's definitely not going to be easy for the competitors for sure, because Rashid, we take a look here at his 7-minute character guide that they put out. Capcom was trying to prepare everyone for this character. You can see here, he has some options. He's a bit of a tricky character. So good luck at your 8 a.m. pools if you run into a Rashid player who's determined to be the monkey wrench in your bracket. A lot to learn and a little bit of time for sure for the competitors. So we'll see how that all shakes out. However, that's not what I want to talk about in depth today. Capcom also announced that along with this patch with Rashid being released, they're also adding a quality of life change to the game mechanics, which is really a buff to drive rush cancel. So you can see here, a new quality of life feature is coming with the Rashid updates on July 24th. After cancelable normal attacks, simply press MP plus MK, the parry input on Classic, or the drive parry button on Modern to perform a drive rush cancel. So shown here in this example, which you can also get another sneak peek here at Rashid here, he's able to drive cancel his standing medium by simply pressing parry. So normally you do a drive rush cancel by tapping forward twice, a dash input during the cancelable frames of a move when it's connecting with the opponent's hurt box. But here he's able to just tap the parry button, and get the drive rush cancel. By the way, look at this corner carry and that eagle spike from mid-screen to instantly in corner. So more things to worry about with Rashid releasing. Same idea here with the Modern. We see a different combo example. So 10 days before EVO, they're changing how you're able to input drive rush cancel. Now, the English Street Fighter Twitter account doesn't specify this, but if you take a look at the Japanese account, what they're actually saying here is they're clarifying a bit more of the rules for this input. So you're able to still do the traditional input for drive rush cancel by tapping forward twice, inputting a dash essentially. But they also clarify that you need to be in neutral or holding forward in order to do the parry input for drive rush cancel. So you can't be holding down back or back and pressing parry during a move's active frames in order to get the cancel, which prevents things like keeping charge during your drive rush cancel. They thought a little bit about the implications of this new input, but I wanted to discuss that today, what this actually means potentially for the meta of Street Fighter 6, because beyond just being a quality of life change, this does have real gameplay implications and might affect how people actually play during EVO 2023. So the immediate thing you can think of is this is a buff to buffering from crouching normal. So let's go ahead and take a look at that in training mode here. So a lot of people were having issues with doing this every once in a while in matches. A big common strategy is to cancel from your crouching low forward here, crouching medium kick, I should say, into drive rush to get pressure. And it's not too difficult, but depending on the position you're moving in from with your, especially with an arcade stick, you could sometimes miss it. I intended to do forward right there, I missed it. So if you're playing footsies, walking back and forth, or you're going for a real last second whiff punish, you were definitely risking dropping this drive rush cancel. So rather than having to, dangle your stick and, really get your shoulder into it, you could simply buffer your button into the parry input and very reliably get the drive rush cancel. So if you're buffering in footsies, walking back and forth, this is the input I'm simulating here. This will, in the future, after the update, give me a drive rush cancel. Very easy to input. You're definitely not going to drop this. Like the dash, you're very liable to drop. I dropped it right there. See, with JP, my main character, I don't even do low forward to drive rush cancel. This is definitely something that you're liable to drop. So it's going to be a huge buff to playing footsie, so people won't drop their buffers into drive rush cancel anymore with this input. So I think that's good for consistency's sake. I think that it was a bit of an artificial difficulty barrier, and that also affected sticks the most, pads the second amount, and the hitbox I think was the easiest to do this on. So I think this also kind of evens out the accessibility of this technique on the popular controllers for Street Fighter 6. So the other implication is maybe this will have some buff for charge characters, simply because you could very quickly go back to charging after pressing neutral plus parry. So say you're Guile and you do a jab buffer in and you get in, maybe, or like a crouching medium punch, maybe you can go back to charging a little bit faster than having to hit forward, then go all the way to back. Just go neutral to back, slightly faster. Maybe some Guile lab monsters or DJ lab monsters out there will find new routes that are accessible because of this. So I don't expect too much to change with that option, but it's something to keep in mind. But here's the big one that I think will change a lot, and that is the accessibility of doing things like jab and light buffers into drive rush. So jabs are definitely good in drive rush with drive rush cancel, because they're very low committal pokes and they have pretty good hitboxes on them. However, one issue with trying to play footsies with a buffer from that is that you have to do it so quick. So see here, this is Kami's dash animation. I'm actually attempting to buffer. I did it. I'm attempting to buffer drive rush cancel without getting the dash on whiff. The idea being, if I'm trying to whiff punish the Ken here, say they're doing something like that, right? If I want to buffer this, it can be pretty hard to get, but if I land it, it's very rewarding, right? So I missed it there. Let's see if I can land it. So I don't know Cammy like that, but you can get a combo from it. The idea being, it's a very low-risk option with pretty good reward if you're able to execute it. But it's very difficult on arcade stick. It's because you do not want that dash to come out, because that makes it very risky. You can get punished for that dash. You want to be able to just buffer. Now, if I had this with the new input, it's super simple to do this in neutral. And then the moment they come in contact with it, if I clip one of their buttons out in neutral, I would get a full combo conversion, right? So I would get a full combo just from that jab poke right there. So it increases the strength of buffering lights, which that could have actual implications on the meta. It could potentially change how people play, because now you're going to be sitting around buffering this. That could help you in return for checking raw drive rush. Maybe that'll help you get your conversions down on raw drive rush punishes. But also playing footsies, I don't know if I will want people just sitting around buffering lights all day, and then whatever they clip, they get a full combo from it. We'll see if that actually plays out that way. However, we have a real example of this being used today in a real match. So Tokido already demonstrated this. This is the clip, or the actual replay system being used to show a match that was done in Japan's Street Fighter League. So this is Tokido playing Akira here, and look at this sequence here from Tokido. He's not trolling right now. This is for real. So, yeah, at the end there, he thought he conditioned Akira to sit still and went for the surprise DI. But take a look here in the beginning. What is going on with Tokido? He is playing on hitbox, and he is buffering every single one of these light punches that he's throwing out with Ken. He's buffering that with a drive rush behind it. This is extremely difficult to do over and over with the traditional stick. I'm not sure the exact SOCD style tricks he's using on hitbox to get this so precise. I haven't been playing hitbox in Street Fighter 6 just because I don't want to learn the new SOCD jump rules. Maybe I'll dabble with it later on. But I'm telling you, you cannot sit around doing this on stick very effectively. You'll just accidentally get a dash. But the moment Akira here tried to press crouching MK, like, hey, I'm getting caged in here. What do I press? His crouching MK gets clipped on the startup frames, and he gets a full combo from it, right? So you can kind of sit there and cage your opponent, and he goes for it again, and once he gets in this spot, he's just buffering drive rush behind the jab. What are you going to do? Once Akira sat there long enough, he figured, oh, I can surprise him with the DI. He jumps out of it. But this is legit jab pressure that is accessible due to how precise you can be with dash inputs on hitbox. What I think this does is it makes this change from Capcom with the parry input being a drive rush cancel. It makes this technique accessible on all controllers because you can just sit there buffering jab, parry, jab, parry, jab, parry. And then the moment that they clip your jab or their hurtbox intersects with your jab's hitbox, you're going to get the drive rush cancel and get the combo. And, you know, this is like a real technique. If you look here in train mode, this is pretty real. Like I'm going to have the Ken player or the Ken dummy here do a jab buffer to drive rush. So he's buffering to drive rush right there. So you see drive rush doesn't activate when he presses jab, but if I try to press a button and I get clipped by the jab, suddenly, you know, the drive rush will come out, and, you know, if you could do a full combo if he was set to do so. So it's difficult. I can press crouching medium kick there to get stuffed. My jab will get stuffed. You know, depending, obviously this is all depending on the timing, but it's a very legit strategy. And to do that on stick, I'm getting dash over and over. I can't even do it on stick. I cannot do it at the pace that Tokido is doing it on stick. So he's definitely leveraging some very precise inputs using hitbox to make this a reality. So what I think will happen is this will become a thing we all do, but instead we'll have a parry macro like this. And then anytime this intersects, you'll see the drive rush activate and getting a combo. So we'll see if this comes to have an effect on the meta. I really do think it will. I think drive rushes from lights will become much more strong, and you'll see a lot of strong characters with cancelable lights abuse this a lot more. But will it have an effect on Evo? That's what we have to see. This is only 10 days before the world's largest Street Fighter 6 tournament, and this will be a real technique. I think this will have some implications on the gameplay. Will it really shake up the brackets and the results? Who's to say? You know, we don't have a time machine to see the splitting timelines to know what could have been. So that said, what do you guys think about this change from Capcom? What do you think about them making it a real mechanic change 10 days before the world's biggest Street Fighter 6 tournament? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.